There is definitely something going on within the locker room, the front office. Something is off. This is the third situation in one game involving Caitlin Clark, the coaching staff, and another player. It looked like Caitlin had a heated exchange with two assistant coaches on the staff. The locker room door slammed so hard it nearly came off its hinges. Inside, voices clashed, and tension sizzled like a live wire. In that electric atmosphere, the Indiana Fever's season was about to pivot in a way nobody saw coming. Caitlin Clark had finally reached her breaking point, and Stephanie White was about to face the consequences of months of questionable decisions. While Clark and White may like and respect each other, that doesn't mean they see eye to eye. Increasingly, it feels like there's a divide in how they view the game and how they believe the Indiana Fever should operate. What happened inside that locker room didn't stay there. It rippled outward, shaking the basketball world and leaving fans wondering if the WNBA's brightest star was on the verge of leaving Indiana for good. Fans are calling for Caitlin to go to the front office and demand Stephanie White be fired. They want a choice made between Clark and White. It was only a matter of time before Caitlin and Stephanie had words. People are now saying Caitlin Clark needs to get out of Indiana. This might be a turning point. But this eruption wasn't just caused by one sloppy game or a bad substitution. This was months of frustration building up. Months of seeing a generational talent misused, a superstar feeling like her coach was sabotaging her ascent. Footage shows Caitlin Clark outright ignoring the assistant coaches. She didn't want to hear anything from them. She was done with the drama. Her glare could have peeled paint off the walls. Here was the player who had transformed the Fever into headline material, now being ghosted by a system that refused to let her shine. The team used her face in every advertisement and sold tickets with her highlight reels. Then when it mattered, they benched her like an unopened toy. It was absurd. Did we ever see this at Iowa? No. She never had a heated exchange with Lisa Blutter or with Christy Sides last year. Something's wrong. Caitlin Clark is now publicly showing she's pissed off. She's not hiding it anymore. Fans aren't just whispering in private anymore. They're shouting online. During games, social media lights up with angry posts. I paid top dollar for Clark brilliance, not this mess. People want their emotional investment back. When your franchise player feels cast aside, it's not a small tactical error, it's a betrayal. Word is, Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard because they won't pass. People joke that Clark bent to tie her shoe after giving Howard the ball on a play. There's clearly a philosophical rift on the team. Fans are seething. They want to be heard. They want the front office to wake up. This isn't just about venting anymore. It's about protecting the future of women's basketball's biggest star. This is Caitlin's team, or at least it should be. Number 1 draft pick, Rookie of the Year, breaking records left and right. Where's the Caitlin Clark from Iowa? Where are the logo threes? We haven't seen one in a month. To understand how this all boiled over, we need to rewind to a baffling comment from Stephanie White last season. She said the Dallas Mavericks looked better without Luka Doncic. The ball's moving, it's popping, multiple guys stepping up, she said, as if benching your best player was somehow insightful. It was a bizarre philosophy, praising team play at the expense of a transcendent star. Swap out Luka for Caitlin, and suddenly this all makes twisted sense in Indiana. Stephanie White seems to think Clark is a liability. White deserves the Dodo Bird of the Day award. If they don't make a coaching change to support Clark's style and build the team around her strengths, she should walk. Fans don't come to see the whole roster. No offense to them. They come for Caitlin. The CC effect is real. And this wasn't just a random opinion from White. This is her coaching gospel. Every confusing rotation, every frustrating benching. It all makes sense when you realize White fundamentally doesn't believe in building around one star. She wants a merry-go-round offense with equal touches. But basketball is not poetry. It's performance. Caitlin Clark is not just a piece. She's the conductor. The Fever offense has been trash. Spacing makes no sense. Caitlin drives down the lane, and Natasha Howard clogs it by diving instead of spacing. It's hard to watch. White seems to be dragging her old playbook from the Connecticut Sun into Indiana. Some say this is why men should coach in the WNBA. They argue women coaching women just doesn't work here. Whether or not that's fair, what's clear is that White's system is holding back a once-in-a-generation talent. Clark isn't a typical guard. She's a floor general. Strip her of the ball, and the whole offense breaks down. White thinks giving her the ball too much leads to hero ball, But when Clark is on the bench, the fever look lost. Aimless movement, confusion, missed screens. The offense gasps without her. She played fewer minutes than Natasha Howard in the first half of a recent game. Clark had 12 points and 9 assists, but she didn't even look like herself. She looked disinterested, over it. And as fans, we're starting to feel the same way. This season is a disaster. Maybe it's time for her to explore other options. This isn't White's first coaching disaster. At Vanderbilt, alongside Carolyn Peck, she led the team to back-to-back 7-win seasons. Fans left, players transferred, the vibe soured. Now she's doing the same thing in the WNBA. Instead of empowering Clark's brilliance, she's sticking to outdated ideas about ball movement and system over stars. But this isn't college anymore. Now the whole basketball world is watching, analysts, fans, sponsors, and they're not impressed. Clark's usage rate is down nearly 20% from last season. Her scoring and assists have dipped. Her creativity looks stifled. She's not being set up to succeed. She's being treated like a problem to manage. And yet, Clark still puts up 17 points and 8 assists per game. She still makes highlight reels. But it feels like she's leaking greatness through a cage. White keeps talking about off-ball movement and screens like Clark is just another shooter. But Clark is the system. She creates the tempo, warps defenses, engineers shots for others. Comparing her to a floor spacer is like asking Beethoven to play triangle. White even got fined recently for criticizing refs over the way Clark gets hacked during games. At first, it looked like a coach defending her player. But she'll fight for foul calls and not for the ball to be in her hands. That's the irony. This isn't just about Clark. White treats every player like a gear in a machine. But basketball is about humans, about stars who tilt the game. Great coaches build around that. The Aces lean into Aya Wilson's strengths. The Liberty revolve around Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. Seattle thrived with Sue Bird and Jewel Lloyd. Indiana had that chance. Instead, they boxed Clark in with team concepts. They've spent 2 seasons sacrificing wins to prove balance is better than brilliance. If they keep going, they risk losing the most valuable player in the sport's future. Clark has already shown signs of discomfort.